Hey everyone, thanks for checking out another episode of Wonderful Garbage. I'm Angela, one of your hosts of the podcast. It's going to actually be a solo episode for the next couple of weeks. Julia is super busy with work. She has a big project out of town coming up, so I'm so excited for her. She's going to kill it. So it's just going to be me for the next couple weeks. She'll join us again in March. So yeah, let's talk about some garbage stuff going on. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, thank you so much for checking it out. We really appreciate it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love podcasting. I look forward to it every week. I think about it every day, all day. I love doing this and I just really appreciate new people for checking it out, old friends for continuing to listen. We really, really do appreciate it. All right, a couple things and then we're going to get into wonderful garbage celebrity pop culture news. Okay, if you remember a couple weeks ago, I said I was summoned for jury duty. I was so excited. Well, I got dismissed. I didn't have to go. I got an email like a week before I was supposed to be there. And y'all, I read that email multiple times. I was like, it says dismissed. Okay, cool. And then I was like, dismissed. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't read it incorrectly, then I didn't show up, and then they come and arrest me. I am not sure what the punishment is for missing jury duty, but I was so bummed because I was hoping it would be like a really good case, like embezzlement or fraud. I have no idea if those go to trial or not. Murder would be it would be a lot, but I think I could do it. But yeah, no jury duty. I've been summoned a couple times before, once when I was a teacher and then another time when I was in college, and I got dismissed from those two because I think those were like rules or reasons or whatever for you to be dismissed and not have to serve. So here's to hoping I get summoned again at some point. I would really like to do my civic duty. That would be fun. Okay, if you have Hulu, you need to be watching Paradise. So freaking good. It's murder, thriller, post-apocalyptic life, deceit, lying. Oh, it's just so freaking good. I think we're 5 or 6 episodes in right now. Sterling K. Brown, I mean, Justice Warrior King. Like, he's so hot. And I'm such a fan. And then James Marsden, speaking of jury duty. If you haven't watched that and you have Prime, watch that. Honestly, a docu-series that's just never been done before, like how it was done. Freaking amazing show. What was that? 2023, I think Jury Duty came out. Like, best of the year. 100% hands down. Just, fantastic. But James Marsden is really good at it. He plays the president, and it's turning out to be like he was just put into this presidential role because of his dad's power, and they kind of just needed someone in that role to kind of be a yes man, or I don't know what's going on man, while the real people behind the scenes controlled what was going to happen, what went down, and Sterling K. Brown is now coming back with vengeance. It is such a freaking good show. Go watch it. Season 2 hasn't been confirmed yet, but it's one of the top shows on Hulu. I don't know how it wouldn't get a second season. It's also not tagged as a limited series, so I'm expecting we do get multiple seasons of this show because it's so good. Also, I started watching Scamanda, also on Hulu, about a woman who faked having cancer. I mean, those are always crazy stories. And they interview people that like were her followers, were like people who really thought something was going on with her. And then they interview people who were like, I clocked this bullshit, couple days in or a couple of meetings after talking with her, just things that she was saying. And it just really sounded like something else was going on here. I haven't finished it yet. I think it's 3 episodes. Another great documentary show. I love documentaries like that. And then there's another show similar to Scamming. Well, it is another scamming one, but it's called Apple Cider Vinegar. Which I love apple cider vinegar. I've been drinking it since I was a kid. I will put it in my water and drink it all the time. I used to put it in my hair. I haven't done a good hair cleanse with apple cider vinegar in a while, but y'all, I mean, it just made my hair so freaking smooth, so shiny, took out all of the shampoo buildup that I have. I have another hair rinse that I use now for that, so I don't walk around smelling like vinegar. I don't mind it, but my husband does. I'm like, well, then just like, don't be by me for the day. But that's another scammy, like a health scam show. It's so freaking good. We're also a couple episodes into that one too, but there is so much stuff to watch on top of Bravo things to watch. We're just doing the best we can, Speaking of Netflix, I have not started the Gabby Petito documentary. I can't bring myself to it. It is such a excuse my language. It's such a fucked story. I mean, she was just failed by police officers, by people. I mean, like, it's so incredibly sad. Her boyfriend ended up killing her. It's what it's looking like, and everyone seems like. And then he killed himself after. He went to his parents and was like, I need a lawyer. And then he wouldn't help with anything. They were on a road trip, and she goes missing. They didn't find her for a month later. He flies back home acting like everything's okay, or just didn't do anything. And yeah, it's just really, really sad, and I can't bring myself to watch that right now. I will, and then we'll talk about it on the pod, but and I watch Datelines all the time. I watch murder shows, but every now and then there's something that comes out and you're just like, oh, it's too raw. It's too real. It's so sad. And I have to be in a good space, a right state of mind to watch it. Okay. Those are just a couple of things I wanted to talk about before we got into our wonderful garbage of the week, our celebrity pop culture news. Let's get into that now. Okay, I'm gonna do my best to not cry during this. I'm already starting to tear up. I feel like a proud friend, even though I've never met this person in my life. They have no idea who I am. And I'll probably never meet her. But Mindy Kaling got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Oh, I love her so much. Okay, waterworks are coming. It's just gonna happen. I want to put this clip on YouTube, but I don't know if I'm going to because I'm tearing up. Also, the amount of white hairs I have in my head. I tried doing the spray to cover it up, and y'all, I need to get to the salon ASAP. Okay. Here we go. Mindy, I have just idolized her since seeing her on The Office. She wrote the most episodes on that show, if you didn't know, as well as starring as the iconic Kelly Kapoor. I mean, she created and built this character that was so unique, so silly, so funny, so extra. I absolutely loved her. And I felt like seen by someone like Mindy, seeing her be on the show, continue to create shows. I can't tell you how many times I've watched the Mindy Project. I watch it at least once a year. I'll have it on the background while I'm working. I'll watch it while I'm going to bed. Sometimes I'll watch it while I'm working out. I absolutely, yeah, small flex. I work out sometimes. Need to do it more for my mental health because I'm crying talking about Mindy Kaling. Okay. Yeah, Mindy Project, it's just so freaking funny. Her outfits on that show, some of the best outfits I've seen in a series ever. The colors, the boldness, just everything that she wore was so good. Also, the guest stars that she had on that show, so many guest stars, so many comedians. I'll go back and watch and be like, oh, I didn't know that person was on the show. Like, now I know them because they're famous. I didn't know who they were when I was watching the Mindy Project. And I absolutely love it. It's one of my feel-good shows. It's in rotation with New Girl and Happy Endings. Justice for Happy Endings. It only got 3 seasons. It needed 7 at least. I freaking love that show. Cracks me up. Casey Wilson and Adam Pally together, comedic geniuses. Adam Pally was also on the Mindy Project. Casey Wilson is a huge Bravoholic. She has a podcast called Bitch Sesh with her friend Danielle. Absolutely love them. I love listening to their podcast so much. Okay, but back to Mindy. I love Sex Lives of College Girls. Never Have I Ever. Oh, cried in that one too on Netflix. I loved her in Ocean's 8. She has the new show with Kate Hudson coming out called Running Point. That premieres next week on Netflix. But I love that Mindy created her life on her terms. She is living how she wants to live. She is creating a family how she wanted to create a family, how she was able to create one. She has 3 children. And I love that she continues to break that glass ceiling, not to be cheesy or metaphorical, but she's built her own production company. All right, I am tearing up if you are watching this on video. She provides opportunities for others, other actors, screenwriters, producers. And she shows me, all right, waterworks are starting. She shows me that you can just go out there and do what you want to do. Try. Work your ass off. And who knows? Okay, tear went down my face. Who knows? You might be really successful at it one day. And, oh wow, I am crying. Okay. I cried watching the ceremony too. I thought it was really good. BJ Novak was like, congratulations to my soup snake. Just so proud of her. Just like seeing how much she has grown and how much she has just produced and created. It's just amazing. And during her ceremony, she was making jokes too, of course. And her dad was there, which was incredibly sweet. Like I said, BJ Novak was there. Ike Barinholtz, who's one of her collaborators, she collaborates with a lot, was there. He was also on the Mindy Project. They write a lot together. Greg Daniels, who produces her stuff, also was there. A couple actors from Never Have I Ever were there as well. And I'm so proud of her. I don't know her, but I feel like I do because I've watched her and so much for so long. Oh my goodness, y'all. I am not okay. Oh, part of me wants to re-record this because, like, Girly is crying on a podcast about someone she has absolutely never met. Ah, but then I kind of want to keep this in because, I don't know, I'm just emotional. I'm like licking my tears. I'm just an emotional person. I always have been, always will be. Like, very in tune with my emotions. It's just been an emotional week. I don't know, I've been in my feels this week. Oh my goodness. Okay, I have to go take a break. I'll be right back. If I had ads, I would have thrown an ad in there. But I don't have ads because it's just me and Julia trying to get recognized. Oh, and if my eyes are red during the rest of this, I apologize. I'll try to fix it when I edit, but I don't know how to fix eyes yet in editing. Oh, and also, if you need to cry, just go ahead and cry. Cry while you're listening to this. I welcome it. I love a good cry. I think it is so relaxing and freeing. I want to go like under those big waterfalls. If you watched season 2 of The Real Housewives of Dubai, they went on this like spiritual trip and they they walked to a waterfall and then sat under it, and some of them were like screaming and like letting everything out. I feel like I need to do one of those. Oh, okay, I think my eyes are better. Oh my goodness, I just love Mindy so freaking much. I'm so happy for her. Okay, let's talk about next 2 stories are all about girlhood. Women doing things. Leighton Meester is joining season 2 of Nobody Wants This. I mean, iconic perfection. She is going to play Kristen Bell's middle school nemesis turned mommy Instagram influencer, which is just the total opposite of who she is in real life. From what we see, again, I don't know Leighton. Leighton? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Leighton? I don't know her, but not me, Mariah Carey. I don't know her. But I sounds like she is like a total 180 from this. Her and Adam Brody live very private lives. So it'll be really fun to see her get to play something that she totally isn't. No other details on when season 2 is coming out. They did start reading for the season, so filming would begin after that. Maybe we'll get the season in the fall. That would be great. It premiered last fall anyway, so would make sense it stayed on that schedule. But it's gonna be so cool to see Leighton Meester on the show with her husband. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, we've said it before. Julie and I are gigglers. We love Giggly Squad. We've seen them a couple times we've gone to a couple of their shows. Okay, it was just announced that Hannah Berner and Paige DeSorbo will be hosting the Vanity Fair Oscar party live stream along with Tan France and Francesca Scorsese. Freaking amazing. And they look so good. Paige is in this yellow trench, hair on fleek, makeup. She's got these glasses. Hannah is, of course, wearing camo, but Hannah's hair looks good. They're funny. They continue to kill it. They continue to build their brand and continue to get these amazing opportunities because they deserve it. They work their ass off. They have been building Giggly Squad for the past 4 or 5 years. I'm just so happy for them. I cannot wait to watch them do the live stream. I know their outfits are going to be fantastic. Hannah better not wear Crocs. But congratulations to the Giggly Squad and all the gigglers out there because our girlies continue to kill it. And this is just the kind of news we needed for Paige because it just like shut the haters up. She's continuing to build her business, her brand, herself. Fucking do it, girl. Okay, let's talk about A$AP Rocky. So this week he was found not guilty of shooting his former friend, collaborator. The trial was about 3 weeks long. He was charged with 2 felony counts of assault with a deadly weapon from an incident back in 2021. And he faced up to 24 years in prison, which is just wild. So there was an altercation he had with his former friend. They had a dispute. They met up to talk about it. A$AP Rocky allegedly pulls out a prop gun. It was like a gun that was used in a music video. They're alleging that his friend knew it was fake. The friend's alleging he shot him or shot at him. They're saying that like A$AP took the gun out, shot, but the injuries sustained by the friend were like, they think like it grazed his hand. So it looked like a scrape, maybe I don't know, like something just happened to his hand. But they didn't bring in a gun as evidence. And I think I saw like I think the jurors were asked after like what happened or like what was lacking in the case, and they're like they just like couldn't provide any evidence for us to like really see what happened. Also, police couldn't find shell casings at the scene when they got there, but then allegedly the friend found 2 shell casings when he went back. I don't know. So yay, he's found not guilty. Just like stay at home with Rihanna and your children. Go to a park, go to a playground. He is co-chairing the Met Gala, though, and then he has a movie coming out over the summer. He's headlining a tour, or headlining a show in March. He's like a lot of things coming up and going on. Just like, stay away from toxic people. Okay, let's talk about Real Housewives of New Jersey casting news. That wasn't really true, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Y'all, when one thing comes out in the Bravo universe, everyone goes with it and runs. I've been guilty of doing it as a content creator. I try to kind of wait to just see if we get more info, if something gets pulled back, if someone comes out and clarifies something. I just don't want to be out there talking all this shit and then it's not true. I'm also terrified of getting sued. But the Bravo world was gossiping about New Jersey casting updates. This was all started by Kim D. Of all people. Are we surprised? No. I'm surprised so many people listen to her. I think New Jersey fans are just getting anxious. We don't know what's going on. I did read something that Andy had said in the past. We wouldn't really get casting updates until the end of this year. Like, they're still figuring out what to do, which is just so sad. I would really love, like, time heals all wounds. And I would love it if Teresa and Melissa could come back together at some point. And Joe, obviously, just even like out of respect for their parents, since they are the only, like, they just have each other, they're the only, like, each other's siblings, and it sucks because they're both, like, whatever happens, someone is going to lose out on a lot of money, and it's really unfortunate. Not that, like, money's so important, but if they could learn how to coexist, it would be fantastic. So, Kim D allegedly said 3 of the women from the show were given letters by Bravo saying that they were still interested in working with them in some capacity, and that she was really hoping it was Dolores, Melissa, and Margaret. There's also rumors from a source at OK Magazine, or to OK Magazine, that said Dolores and Melissa are returning, while Teresa will get her own spinoff. That source in OK Magazine also said that Margaret, Rachel, and Danielle are not returning, nor were given other projects to do with Bravo. I'm a Melissa fan. I think she was just always stuck as being Teresa's sister-in-law. Yes, she had autonomy to like have other storylines, and a lot of people didn't like some of her other storylines. I get it. I can deal with Melissa's life better than I can Teresa's. I know Teresa is the OG of New Jersey, and we have seen her go through lowest of lows and highest of highs. She's a fantastic mother. Her daughters, daughters, I can't even say how she says it. Daughters. Anyways, I tried. Her daughters are amazing. They seem to have raised like really wonderful children. And I'm so happy for Teresa. Spinoffs just don't do categorically well. Kim and Kroy had Don't Be Tardy for a while, and that really did work well for them. I just don't know how much of Teresa's life can like fill a spin-off show. There's some people I would rather not see have more airtime on a spin-off show. I'm not going to name names, but I'm sure you can guess. Someone in her life. But Dolores makes sense. She's like ride or die. She's like cemented in Jersey. I think she does really good for the show. I think Margaret and Rachel should be brought back as friends. Margaret gives really good shade and doesn't have too much more of a storyline, so I think that's a perfect friend role. She can come in and out. She knows group dynamics. Depending on who they bring back, she probably, or like new people that they bring into the show, she probably knows them too, just being in the area. So, yeah, but we'll see what happens. Okay, speaking of New Jersey, Dolores' boyfriend, Paulie, finally has a date set for his divorce. I think it's supposed to happen and be finalized at some point next week. Y'all, the man has been separated for 14 years. So, there were rumblings of him and his estranged wife had businesses together, and that's why they didn't want to get a divorce sooner, because they were fine with how things were, because all the business dealings, which I think is what we're going to end up seeing with Kyle and Mauricio on Beverly Hills. I think they're just going to stay separated because the finances and the businesses are a lot. If I can remember, I think Kyle even said like she helped Mauricio start the agency, and I think she might have majority ownership, or she did at one point. I'm sure she has ownership still, so trying to break apart those finances is going to be crazy, and the properties and everything. I feel like with Kyle and Mauricio, until one of them gets in a serious relationship where the partner wants marriage or like wants it to be final, then maybe something will happen. And I think that's what we're seeing with Paulie and his estranged wife and Dolores. Dolores said she isn't interested in getting married, but for where they are in the relationship, he shouldn't be married anymore. Like, there's no point. You guys aren't getting back together. It's been 14 years. Dolores and Paulie have been together since 2021. They met on a blind date. She says, I like how our life is now. If a marriage or an engagement happens, cool. Not seeking it. I don't need it. She's like, I've been married and divorced. I know how that goes. Why mess with something when it's good? If you got a good thing and you're both happy where the relationship's at, then just do your own damn thing. Look at Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. They never got married and they're like super in love with each other still. So do what you want to do. But she just said, like, if an engagement or marriage does happen, like the engagement, it has to happen after divorce. Like, absolutely not him proposing before that happens. So good to hear that there's an actual divorce date set. Congratulations. Yay, divorce. Okay, y'all. Blake amended her lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. It is 163 pages. insane. So her original lawsuit was filed on New Year's Eve, and it's been about 6-ish weeks, 7 weeks. She put out an amended one. Justin's lawyer said it lacks actual evidence, which made me LOL. Justin's lawyer said her underwhelming amendment complaint is filled with unsubstantial hearsay of unnamed persons who are clearly no longer willing to come forward or publicly support her claims. So in this amended lawsuit, Blake has said that there are 2 other women who also felt uncomfortable by Justin. They are willing to testify. Apparently it's another actor that was on set and a producer. And like, if this is true, I get Blake not putting their names in the lawsuit, because with all of the media coverage that it's getting, the additional persons would just be swarmed daily, which could then affect them actually testifying at trial. So I get that they want to be protected for as long as possible. It just really freaking sucks. Justin's lawyer also went on to say, since documents do not lie and people do, the upcoming depositions of those who initially supported Miss Lively's false claims and those who are witnesses to her own behavior will be enlightening. What is truly uncomfortable here is Miss Lively's lack of actual evidence. And this first line, since documents don't lie and people do, is giving Housewives tagline, and this is what I think like it would say. So like, I'm a housewife, I'm doing my opening cards, right? And here's my line. Since documents don't lie and people do, best believe I have all the receipts. I also hate that I use the word receipts because it always will remind me of Heather Gay from here on out, but it just made me laugh. And then I remembered that Justin's lawyer, Brian, also represented Bethany Frankel during her reality reckoning phase. So the fact that he's kind of spicy makes total sense. One of the castmates allegedly told the production company, which is Justin's production company, about Justin's behavior. He responded to that person with a written note acknowledging what happened, acknowledging how he made that person feel, and saying that changes would happen, but allegedly never did happen. Another cast member apparently wrote to Blake saying that she felt uncomfortable too, and this was about 1 year before editing the movie began. I feel like it's kind of weird that the person wrote a note to Blake to reach out about it. I would think that would be a conversation that you have with someone, not a written letter. And maybe they did have a conversation first, and then it made me wonder, what if Blake was like, okay, we'll write it down because like we do need documentation of this just in case anything happens, with in her mind that they were planning this all along. I don't know. That's just my conspiracy theory. Okay, also there was a defamation claim filed against Justin's lawyer. They're saying that things that he said about Blake are affecting her credibility. It's like, no, ma'am. Literally, like, everything else you've done is affecting your credibility. Justin's lawyer, Brian, was on a podcast earlier this week, and he talked about Ryan's SNL joke from the 50th anniversary special that happened over the weekend. He's like, I don't know anyone whose wife had been sexually harassed who then makes jokes about the situation that they're currently in. Lively and her team have also issued subpoenas to get phone, text, and email records from Justin and his team to prove the alleged smear campaign. A judge has not ruled on those subpoenas yet. They were filed last week. Okay, so if you have been working with somebody for a year plus, like for a long amount of time, you know that things are off, you get a sense something's going on, you're probably going to be prepping to make sure, like, hey, we're covered here, right? We're good. If she comes out at me with all this stuff, I want my cam to also be prepared to quote unquote retaliate, quote unquote, like fight back, you know? So I think the term smear campaign's very loose in this situation. It's more of just like, you threw a bunch of shit out there about me and you're claiming horrendous things about me and my character. I'm going to come back at you with also, like, with what happened throughout the filming, throughout production, throughout editing, all of that, you know? It's just, ugh. Also, like, how is this shit gonna last till 2026? I have literally no idea. Can we do it? Can we handle it? No, we can't. Okay, let's talk about Ryan's joke from that SNL special. You've seen it all around the internet, I'm sure. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, two of my all-time favorite women. I was gonna say comedians, but just like women in general. Did the opening monologue for SNL. They're calling out to people. They say, oh, hey, Ryan Reynolds is here. He stands up. They're like, how's it going? He says, great. Why? What have you heard? And y'all, the face that Blake makes, she looks at him and it's just like, what did you just say? All over the internet. What is going on? What's happening? Well, we learned something else this week. An SNL staff member who handles the cue cards, cue card Wally. My bad. Cue card Wally. He's also been the cue card guy at Seth Meyers' Late Show. Also, Tonight with Jimmy Fallon. He was on a podcast and said that during rehearsal, Ryan actually pitched that response of like, great, why? What have you heard? SNL had another line for him to use. We have no idea what the other line is. I need to know. I really want to know. SNL didn't want to write anything initially that was too controversial unless Ryan and I'm assuming Blake was okay with it. But the way that Blake reacted and made it seem like she had no idea that that was going to be Ryan's response. It just looks bad all around and goes to what Justin's lawyer Brian said about if your wife had this absolute devastating, traumatic experience while filming this movie, you decide to do this quote-unquote lighthearted joke? It's in poor taste. It doesn't look good. I think, honestly, anything Ryan Reynolds does at this point will get criticized just because everyone is dissecting every move he makes, but also, like, it should be. Okay, we have some news about Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann. It's the end of an era, y'all. They finally sold their home. Oh my goodness. So they've sold their home for $2.75 million. According to Bravo, it was originally listed for $6 million, but y'all, again, if you like know Bravo stuff, they have had a mess of a divorce. It's been just sad to see. They were, or at least seemed to be, a really fun, loving couple. And I think they were in love for a while, and then things just got really bad after their spin-off show that they had on Bravo was canceled. So they bought that home back in 2012 after they got married in 2011. We see them meet on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, get married, have kids together. Kim had 2 daughters from a previous relationship, and then Kim and Kroy had 4 kids together. Kroy adopted the older 2, though. It's just, gosh. And that home, so many iconic scenes have been filmed in it. We saw it a lot on Don't Be Tardy for the Party, and it just looked like a really loving space. And then it just got really bad. They filed for divorce back in 2023. They were married for 12 years. They pulled back the divorce filing in July of that year, and then Kroy filed again in August, citing that their marriage was irreparably broken. There have been lots of fighting, police being called. We've seen body cam footage from the police officers responding to calls at the house. There have been reports about, like, Kim has a lot of gambling debts. Kroy doesn't seem like he was really working. They really, I think, relied on money from shows and promotions that they would do, ads, events, stuff like that. And just couldn't keep up with everything, you know, that they were doing. I feel like selling the home is a major thing in the separation of these two. I feel for the children. How can you not? The oldest two are out on their own. They are full-grown adults. It's, you know, it's just, it sucks. And having everything being played out in the news, in the media, just, it's not great. So yay that their house is sold. Okay, we have to talk about Love is Blind. I think we're gonna end the podcast with Love is Blind. I wasn't going to take a lot of notes on it because it was boring. But the more I watched it and the more I listened to these men, these boys just talk, I was just like, oh shit, I'm going to take some notes. We're going to talk about it. We're going to judge. If you follow Love is Blind or have seen things, like, you've been on social media, you've probably seen so many people are just like, did they just cast one guy and then made copies of him? What is happening? There's 8 guys who look exactly alike. I watched it twice. We had it on in the background. I think I might have been doing some podcasting stuff and I had it in the background, so I wasn't fully paying attention to it. But I would be like, oh, he's going on a date with her? And then but he's also seeing her? And it took me a couple episodes to realize they're literally different people. Casting just fumbled again, especially with them coming out and saying in the opening scene, this is the most people we've ever had on the season of Love is Blind. And then they cast 8 guys that look exactly the same and only focus on a certain group of couples. I hate that. Especially when you continue to see the friends of that they've made into not the main people that we keep getting footage of, but they'll go back into the women's quarters or the men's quarters. And then it's just these random people that we've never seen go on a date. We've never seen them in the pods, and by going on a date, I mean being in the pods. We never see them have pod interactions, but yet they're just there talking with the other girls that we're seeing on the show or the other guys that we're seeing in the pods more. And it just makes it feel disjointed. At least throw in one scene so we can make some connections and get to know these people that you're turning into side characters now, you know? Also, Molly, who said she's never been in a committed relationship but is just ready to get married on this show. Girl, I liked Molly, but no. There needs to be some obviously we know they don't do a good job of interviewing and vetting these people, but you gotta at least have some relationship trauma, something to then be on this show. And I'm sure she's had stuff. But if you've never been in a committed relationship before, why are you coming on this show just to jump into marriage? That's a lot. Okay, and then that guy Dave joking with the women, what's wrong with you? Why are you here? Just ew. He's one of the guys that all look alike. He was yeah, I've treated women like trash in the past. I work in medical aesthetics, so I see a lot of women with Botox and injections and plastic surgery, and it makes me think a woman should look this certain way. But now I'm trying to break out of that. He looks and he talks like he's such a douche, and then later on we just see him lying to these women, and they think that they're lying. One woman thinks the other one's lying because Dave won't own up to what he actually said. Best believe we're going to get into that later. Okay, Alien talks with Meg. I would listen to a podcast of Meg. Would you guys? I don't know. She's talking to one of the guys who all looks the same too. And she's like, I don't smoke, but I have high thoughts. She goes, I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast once. I was like, oh girl, same. I did it too. I did it. And I haven't listened. I listened for a little bit when I liked him as a comedian, and then it just got to be too much and I can't anymore. But she's talking about the ant mound thing where like people were like pour melted metal into ant mounds, and then it hardens, and then you get to see the intricacies of ant mounds, which actually does sound pretty cool. And she's talking about like how government controls the weather, and then they're talking about pyramids and ghosts and spirits, and like what are the aliens like what would you do with your alien, what would you say? I have definitely had those conversations, definitely not sober. I've had them though. Actually, I probably have had them sober. But when I'm not sober, they definitely get to be a little more interesting of a conversation. But Meg was pretty entertaining. Okay, one of the guys saying that he stays out of politics, doesn't choose a side with Black Lives Matter. Sir, your privilege is showing. And saying that he didn't vote in the last election because he is an uninformed voter. Yes. Don't vote if you don't know what's going on, but also make it a point to know what's going on. Just because things aren't directly affecting you doesn't mean you shouldn't give a shit about it. You know? And I'm really surprised that Sarah, again, I don't know the guys' names. He looked like a Jason or like a Brett. I have no idea. Maybe his name was even Brad. Devin. Honestly, I have no idea. But Sarah, he ended up getting engaged to. She stayed pressed on him of talking about things, LGBTQIA plus thoughts, and like where his stance was, and is he accepting, and then talking about politics. And she's like, okay, like I get. Yes, you're uninformed now, but it doesn't mean that you can't change. I think he was the one who also said, or maybe it was Dave, saying that you don't always have to have the same viewpoints as your partner. Like he doesn't have it with his friends. Friends and your life partner are two different people. Okay, let's talk about Madison. Oh, Madison. I like her. I think she's sweet most of the time, but I don't think she's ready for a relationship. I think she has a lot of things she needs to get worked out. I am not trauma shaming whatsoever. She has had a really, really tough life. I can't imagine. I just, take care of you first to then make sure you are ready to jump into something with somebody. So she has two guys that she's seen. She tells one of the guys that she knows the other girl that he's seen, and talking about how she's acting, and they're women's quarters together. Saying oh yeah, she's making it seem like she's your number one and you guys are solid and blah, 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 which is just always so funny. From what it seems this season, the men are really keeping it hush hush on who they're seeing, but the women have opened up to some of them. Some of the women have opened up to each other about who they are seeing in the pods, who they're feeling, who their number ones are, and things like that, which is affecting how other people, it's affecting the relationships that they're intertwined with. And I think it really messed with genuine connections or connections that people were having. Every time I say genuine connections, I think of Kendall from Love Island. So she's telling that guy, yeah, the other girl that you're seeing, like, she's coming, she's saying this, she's saying that, you're all about her, and like, I just need to know like where we're at, blah, blah, blah. Their next date that they have in the pods, he's like, look, I thought a lot about that. I didn't like how things are being spread. Like, you're the girl that I want. Like, I am only interested in you. And her face that she makes, she's like, oh. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? You like just told this guy that like you kind of like, or you're into, or you're still figuring it out. Oh, about this other girl was saying you got in his head. He's coming back and telling you he wants to focus on you. And I feel like she got the ick. That she was like, oh, okay, well, shoot. That's like not what I wanted to happen, but okay. And then she's into this other guy who can't really handle her trauma. Like, she's talking to him about things and how like she'll shut down when certain things happen, and just a lot of things that she's gone through, and it's just can be hard sometimes for her to communicate. Her attachment style is avoidant, and he's like, like then he starts to avoid her feelings. And then she doesn't end up with anybody. And then she messes it up for Meg, the conspiracy theorist girly, too. Just messy. I think it's bad. I mean, like, it's hard because, like, they want to talk to each other in, like, the women's quarters about what's going on, but then shit's gonna spread around, or you say something in front of somebody and you don't know that they're with that person. That happened with Molly and Lauren. Molly was talking about her progress with Dave and didn't know he was also talking to Lauren, who was sitting right there. And Lauren went back to Dave about what Molly was saying, and then Dave switched it up and was like, well, he lied to her. He lied to both women. Madison actually clocks it. She's like, Lauren, I think Dave is like playing both of you. Lauren's like, yeah. And then the next day is like, okay, I want to be with you. It's just like, these men are trash. I liked the first guy who got engaged, the first couple. I don't even know their names. Tarzan and like the pretty tall girl. They're cute. But in the previews for the episodes coming up, it sounds like he might be like a liar. Surprise, surprise. Okay, let's talk about Dave playing both Molly and Lauren. So he told Molly that she was his number one since the beginning. He was like, we click, we're into the same things, like, I'm all about it. He had also said he doesn't know if he should be going for someone who is just like him and that like they get along so well or like have the same interests. So that's why I think he was also going back to Molly. So then Molly went back to the girls' quarters. It was so giddy about it. She tells the girls, like, he said I'm his number one, which literally he said that verbatim. I went back and watched the end of that episode where it happened. Lauren does not believe it. She brings it up to Dave. He flat out denies it, y'all. These men are trash. Saying, I just don't want to get involved in girl drama. Homie, you're in it. You guys are trying to find a life partner in like a week without seeing them. You're on a dating reality show. Are you new here, sir? This is what happens. And you fucking started it. It is your fault. He also tells Lauren that they haven't had deep conversations, which is a lie. He literally asked Molly what kind of engagement ring she wanted. And they talked about it. And he goes, oh, I have my mom's ring. His mom passed away from cancer. I can't imagine. It's so freaking sad. So he's like, I have this ring for my mom. Like, I don't know. And Molly's like, well, don't you think your sister might want it? Like, that might be something memorable for her. Yes, she already has an engagement ring, but she can make it into a necklace or something. And Dave's like, oh my goodness, that's such a good idea. Like, thank you so much. Like, they seem to have really good conversations. So then for Dave to switch it up and tell Lauren that they've never talked about anything serious, oh, I can't wait for them to eviscerate him at the reunion. It should just be like, let's sit back and play everything Dave said side by side. I need the Love is Blind producers to like, Dave says one thing to Molly, Dave says the next thing to Lauren, and just go back and forth and watch how he lies and manipulates these women. Then he becomes the victim. He's telling Lauren, like, my heart is pounding, like, I can't do this, it's just hard. They end up getting engaged, I believe. And because they go on vacation together, they do that. And I don't know, I feel like this season of Love is Blind is filled with people who can't make decisions for themselves. And I get it, it's like a huge thing. I don't even know what the emotions are like. You're secluded in these pods and you're trying to find a connection with people, and then there's outside noise and you're second guessing what's going on. Like, I can't imagine the craziness of that, but also, I just think it's a lot of people who like don't know what the fuck they want. Okay, Devin, this is wild. He had like a basketball injury and started taking ibuprofen to help with the pain, and then it was just getting worse, so he kept increasing the amount of ibuprofen he was taking. It got to a point where he was taking 20 ibuprofen a day, which is not good. I mean, I hope his liver's okay. I hope he got a cleanse after that. He just said like doctors didn't know what was going on. He finally went to one who like actually was trying to treat the cause of the pain, like what was really happening. He's had surgery and like he's okay now, but oh my goodness, like I don't think you can get addicted to ibuprofen, but it doesn't have like an addictive thing in it, kind of like weed. Weed doesn't have anything that's addictive in it. People just do it a lot. And yeah, I mean, if he's having all that pain, 20 ibuprofen a day is wild. Okay, let's talk about the guy who loves Christmas and Taylor. Again, I can't remember his name. Could I have gone back and written down these guys' names? 100%. Didn't feel the need to. Sue me. Just kidding. Please don't sue me. I'm poor. Okay, so there was this dramatic interview. Again, I had this playing in the background, so we did watch all 6 episodes, but I've gone back and I've watched 5 actually paying attention to it. But I did see the 6th one, and I've seen it on the internet, that there's like this dramatic interview at the end. It turns out one of the girls thinks the guy she got engaged to followed her on Instagram before filming, like way before filming, and thinks that he figured out who she was in the pods. She had specific things in her bio that they talked about and got really creeped out by it. Y'all, this is a stretch if I've ever seen one. Like, you're giving this guy way too much credit, first of all, to think he's connecting the dots, that this is you. Girl, no. I just think she didn't like him when she saw him. She got the ick automatically, an immediate ick, and a double eye. And I think she was like, okay, I'm just gonna say, like, maybe I think he followed me once. Also, we don't need 6 episodes of pod life only, especially if you're just gonna show the same group of people in their messiness and their love triangles. No. Show the side characters. Give them a scene or two. Too much pod. I love post-pod life. That's when it gets messy. The time once they leave the pods, before the wedding, my favorite episodes of Love is Blind. They go on vacation together. It's always a shit show. They see the other couples. They see like who they could have coupled up with. Then they always do some sort of group hangout because they film where, like in one city where everyone lives. Also, I think a couple weeks ago I said this was the DC season. That was last season. This is filmed in Minnesota. So they always do some sort of group meetup, and they get to see other people that didn't get engaged. So they get to see like their former flames, the people that they could have been engaged to. And that's when shit gets hella messy. We've seen some clips of it already. Guys being like, oh, I chose the wrong one. I think Dave literally tells Molly like, I made the wrong choice. It's like, yeah, Dave, but Molly is free because you're a liar. But new episodes drop today, actually. This is going to come out Friday. So new episodes drop today on Netflix. I will be watching. I will be letting you know what I think because this is like my favorite part that's coming up. Alrighty, y'all. We are going to end with our new segment, Garbage Thing of the Week. I did get a couple submissions for this on Instagram, so thank you so much. And if you didn't, we're going to do it again next week. Every week, I'll be asking you guys on my Instagram stories to submit your garbage thing of the week. It could literally be anything that is bothering you. The 2 submissions I got were traffic. Traffic freaking sucks. 100% it sucks. Austin has just constantly had traffic since I was born. Well, no, not I was born. The last like 20 years. Everyone populating Austin, the outskirts of Austin, construction is insane, which makes traffic so much worse. No one pays attention driving nowadays. Everyone's just always on their phones. Okay, and the other submission was cold weather. 100%. I talked about this at the beginning of the pod. It's freaking cold. Today was 19 degrees. We're not made for this. I know I'm going to miss this weather when it's Texas summer, because that's also unbearable. It's like living in hell. But I feel ya. Traffic and cold weather are always garbage. They will always be like honorary garbage things of the week as long as we have it going on. Okay, my garbage thing of the week for me is people who don't move out of the way when they're walking. So let's say there's like 3 people who are standing together, all walking at the same time. You're coming towards them. There isn't enough room for you to both walk. That person on the end, all you gotta do, just move right behind, let the other person go. Why are you expecting me to move over for you when you're taking up a majority of the walkway? You're not gonna miss the conversation. It's gonna be a second or 2. Just go, whoop, let me go by. Everything is fine. The amount of people who do this at my work bothers me hard to the point where like, I'm going to keep walking. And if we run into each other, we run into each other. Maybe I'll do a little whoop if I feel like I don't want to run into you, or if I feel like I just need to be the bigger person because your bitch ass ain't moving. But, you know, to quote the good man Luda, move bitch, get out the way. That's my garbage thing of the week. People who don't move over, people who don't care, people who are courteous, move your ass over. That's it. Very simple. Very, very simple. Oh, all right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I really appreciate you checking it out. I hope it made you laugh. Maybe it made you cry. I was really in my feelings at the beginning of the episode. Wowee. I'm so scared to see how that's gonna look like on camera because I had full on tears down my face, down my neck, in my mouth. That was a cry I haven't had in a minute. Oof. But I hope you cried too if you really needed it. This is just the time. Just let it all out. Laugh, cry, maybe you rolled your eyes at me during this. I'm sorry if you did. But thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. Comment, like, subscribe wherever you are listening to this. Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And then follow us on social media. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Bluesky. Trying to do all of the things, y'all. All right, I'll be putting out another episode all about Bravo shows. I'll put it out this weekend for you guys to listen to while you're running errands or hiding from your family. Whatever you're doing this weekend, I will put out an episode for you to listen to. All right, y'all. Until next time.